Hello and welcome to this overview of Ivinex guided ticketing. Welcome back to our series on our use cases. So today we're going to talk about how the guided ticketing works. First off, a phone call comes in. That phone call will go to your carrier of choice. That'll be your contact center carrier of choice. That carrier will assign it to some type of a skill or some type of an inbound track. That's going to go filter through to the agent either through a hard phone or a soft phone. The agent will answer, and then we get this agent desktop. So the inbound interaction is driving this ticketing. That's why we call it guided ticketing. When I say inbound interaction, I don't necessarily mean just phone calls, right? So you could have an inbound text message, an inbound email, an inbound chat, any of those interactions and more. There are other interactions beyond that. Any interaction type can trigger this guided ticketing process. So for many different industries, essentially what's happening is it's going to find the customer record based on the phone number that was called in or the phone number that was texted in or the email address, whatever it is. So first we find the record. Here's the customer information. We're pulling up a ticket. How do we know which ticket to get? This is the most recent ticket for this customer. Now, could I get to other tickets if I wanted to? Certainly. There's a way to pop up, look through over here on the right side. I'd be able to look through other tickets. But on the bottom left, let's pay attention to the customer journey. This is the customer journey, all the interactions that I've had with this customer, which helps me to work through the ticket. And you're going to see that that's a common theme here. This is a single pane of glass, a single screen to help me get this ticket resolved quicker. So these are all the interactions, text messages, emails from several months ago, several years ago, whatever the case may be. And I can get to those at my fingertips. If the customer says, I texted you 8 months ago, something about a program, I can't remember what the name of it is. And then I'd be able to click on that text message, read to them what the program is, very easy to reference that data. On the right side, we have any supporting information, again, that's going to help the agent to resolve this ticket. Does it need to be a calendar? Do I need to show follow-up items? Does it need to be a knowledge base? Am I going to have articles that are going to help to guide the agent through whatever it is they're working on with this ticket? So again, just keep in mind, on the right side, this is companion data to help the agent solve the ticket. On the bottom left, this is the customer journey to help the agent solve the ticket. Let's talk about the back end of the system for a minute. There's an API hub native to this platform, and it's going to connect to multiple different systems and pull data in as needed to aggregate. So you have Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, and maybe a proprietary CRM. Let's say that your client is currently logging in and out of 3 different systems, looking up data in 3 different systems. That's a very cumbersome, that's a huge labor-intensive process. Big problem, right? How do we solve that problem? We're going to talk about a 16-to-1 click reduction, right? And it's not even necessarily a click because the records are pulled up, all the data is pulled up just from an interaction coming through. So that's even more powerful, right? So basically, you have the inbound call. Our system goes and looks in these 3 separate places, in these 3 separate APIs, pulls that data into a single pane of glass, and you immediately get a 16-to-1 click reduction just from that use case. Now, if I need to search for any supporting information, I can do that down here. So I would be able to filter by, I want to see only the text messages, or I want to see only the emails, whatever the case may be. And then here are, again, all those items that would be in the customer journey. Again, it's text messages, emails, chats, whatever's relevant, really whatever the agent needs down here to help them close this ticket. It might even be invoices. Again, there's a lot of different data that can be in here, but just keep in mind, all of your interactions, all of your history of interactions with this customer will always be here so that the agent can speak competently to them. Now with the ticket itself, again, this is a no-code drag and drop solution. So if you can envision it, if you can envision a business workflow, true, false, yes or no, step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever the case may be, it's very easy to build those workflows in the system, to configure those workflows and to get them up and running. So the question is, if I make selections 1 and 2, what data fields do I need to see down here for selections 1 and 2? If I make selections 3 and 4, then what data fields do I need to support selections 3 and 4? So you have a lot of power and control over the step-by-step process, meaning what data fields are showing for each step in the process. And keeping in mind, this data can be synchronized with a remote system. So if you have, let's say that you have tickets in Salesforce that you want to synchronize with, you can arrange this data however you want and still synchronize it back into Salesforce. So that's a very magical, very powerful thing. And it's frictionless again. So from a business standpoint, all you have to do is understand business logic and away you go. But let's look at the ticket. So we can link records. First and foremost, we're going to link any of these other contacts to this ticket. So I'm going to assign Mary. Let's say I want to assign Mary to this ticket, or in this case, Joe contact. Then now I've got Joe and I've got my full ticket filled out. It's a high priority. We're going to report an issue, and there's a lot of things that can happen from here. Now, this has automation on the back end of it. So if I select report issue and I click save, that can actually trigger automation, not just a single automation, but a multi-node automation. So automation that would run for weeks or months if you need it to, right? Then here again, we have the knowledge base. I was talking about that as a sidecar, supporting information. Again, everything that we're doing is helping to circle this ticket, to close this ticket in the center of the screen. So this is one of the wagons that we're circling the ticket with to nail it down. The knowledge base is a parent-child hierarchy. It's fully searchable. It can be synchronized with platforms like SharePoint, whatever the case may be. It can also be dynamic to where if one agent is working on a particular knowledge base article on a ticket, and then the next agent picks up the next day, that next agent the next day would be able to see the same knowledge base article that the previous agent was looking at. So we have a way to maintain the state of that knowledge. And then the calendar is going to be synchronized. It can be synchronized with other platforms. A lot of times we get a medical use case where folks want to book out appointments, or you might have something like an emergency after hours dispatching scenario. Anything, the most common thing that we see obviously is appointments and follow-up appointments, whether they be sales appointments or whether they be service appointments, but our system can track them and keep them up and running regardless. And we can talk more about that in the guided outbound process or outbound sales process. But for this use case, you could definitely have follow-up items in conjunction with your tickets. And yes, you do have SLAs. So if you wanted to say, hey, these tickets need to be resolved within 30 minutes, or else they need to be escalated, that is not a problem for this platform at all. You can also iframe in, and this is a dynamic iframe. It's not just a pretty iframe of a web page. We can actually reference data and we can pass variables into the iframe as we pull it up. So a lot of clients will ask us to say, hey, let's take this variable for this use case or for this ticket case, and let's pass it into the iframe. And I want to show this specific data record from the iframe. So that might be a case where you have a knowledge base that's iframed, or whatever the case may be. But we do support dynamic iframes and being able to pass data into an iframe as well. Then let's look at the ticketing Kanban. This basically is a representation of, are we dropping the ball? You have that anxiety of, are we dropping the ball? Are we getting to the customers fast enough? And so you can see here, you've got dates and times, which is how are we getting to the customers fast enough? And then what status are they in? So you as a manager, you can quickly have a stand-up meeting with your team and say, hey, where are we at on this ticket? Where are we at on that ticket? And then it's drag and drop. So if I figure out a way to move this into resolved, because I'm a manager and I have a ton of knowledge, maybe I can do that, taking it from new to resolved in a single drag. So again, everything is drag and drop. The column statuses are fully configurable to whatever you want your left to right process to be. It's very powerful. It's a game changer for your team, and you could have multiple Kanbans. So that is a very brief overview of our guided ticketing process. Thank you so much for your time today. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out to sales@ivinex.com. That's sales@ivinex.com. Or if you want to look at some other information regarding guided ticketing, go to our website. That's ivinex.com as well. And again, thank you for your time. This is a very powerful solution. Again, there's three major use cases with this. There is a guided inbound script process. There is an outbound sales engagement or outbound guided process. And then there is a guided ticketing process that we have with this platform. And again, all of them are very powerful. There's a lot of flavors of each of them, but thanks once again so much for your time, and we'll talk soon. Bye.